Owning a home is tough, and in the wintertime, you do not want to be left out in the cold. So today, we're joined by Eric Lipkin. He's the owner of Pillar to Post in Enfield and Longmeadow, and he's got ways to keep our homes safe and sound this summer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me here.
So I think the first thing we need to talk about in this wintertime is ice damming. It's a big problem.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, a lot of houses had problems with ice damming. What it is when you have enough, deep enough snow blanket, and it hasn't gotten below freezing, or if it's below freezing for too long, you can get ice damming.
So basically what happens is if what we're looking at right now is the roof of someone's house, the part that goes off of the home gets cold because there's nothing heating it, right?
Right, so the hot air in the attic melts the bottom layer of snow, it gets down to the eaves, it refreezes, then it creates the dam. The water has nowhere to go, it backs up under the shingles and leaks into your home. And
creates more and more damage. And you have some things here that if someone thinks they might have damage, they can check this water meter and they can check it out.
Yeah, these are tools that usually a home inspector would have if we see stains or problems, but a homeowner might have these. And what that does is lets you know if it's actively wet, if you have a problem.
So if maybe it's springtime and you've gotten some water damage, you can check it in the spring if that's no good.
Sure.
How do you stop ice damming?
That's a great question. It's basically a balance between ventilation, insulation, and air sealing.
Okay.
So what you can do now to try to be preventive is go up in the attic, look for any penetrations coming up through the attic floor. So anywhere a wire comes up or a vent pipe, seal those to try to reduce the hot air from coming into the attic. Then you're going to want to insulate. The U.S. Department of Energy recommends R38 to R60 for this region, and that's about 14 to 17 inches of loose fill fiberglass. So you really want to insulate. Don't forget the hatchway, and any kind of vent pipes should be insulated too, because they're going to let heat off. You're trying to reduce the amount of heat that's going to melt that snow.
Now, Eric, say people, they brave this first snowstorm, but they go outside and there's ice dams on their home. Can they climb up on the roof and get an ice pick and knock it off, or is that ultimately dangerous to the home?
Well, that's what happened 2 years ago. It's dangerous to go up on the roof when it's full of ice, and you're really going to start causing damage to your shingles. What you want to do is do these preventative things ahead of time. If you're not able to get in your attic or you're not able to do these things, you can put ice melt wire, and that's what you're looking at now. That is a last-ditch effort. Home inspectors like to solve problems at the source, but if you need to, you can put that cable up. Make sure it extends all the way down towards the gutter.
Okay.
And that's going to give a channel to let that water run down off your house and not build up.
And then because of the heat, right now you can see those triangles of snow, but the fact that the heat moves around, it'll allow all of that area to be melted.
As long as there's a clear path down, the water will find a way to exit the roof.
Perfect, and that's the most important thing, because if you don't stop that, that's when you get the consistent pile up and pile up.
Exactly. If you go by a house and you see the gutter full of thick icicles, they're going to have an ice damming problem.
Now you have a few other tips for us, and we're going to come back in the show with your last three, but tip number 2, don't allow the exhaust vents to be covered with snow. Right.
A lot of people now are going with high-efficiency furnaces and boilers. They vent through the side of the house down near the ground instead of the chimney. And so if the heavy snow or snow drifting happens, you're going to want to get out there and clear that. If those get clogged, that's going to create carbon monoxide back up into your house.
And that where my parents, for example, have a washer and dryer that goes outside too, and they need to make sure that area is safe and sound.
All vents.
And that's where you'd use some of these tools, and that's where the snowblower comes in, because it's important that you create a safe path to get out.
Exactly.
If need be. And your last tip for now is to tune up the heating systems, make sure everything's up to par.
If you haven't already, it's not too late. We're coming into the heavy brunt of the heating season. Get someone professional to come tune it up. They're going to make sure it's safe, it's efficient, and get the most out of it, and prevent problems that they might find to keep it running all winter long.
And that's probably one of those situations. It's always best to get a professional, because there's things in there that the average person doesn't know how to do.
I agree.
Well, Eric, thank you so much. And we have 3 more tips on the list, so stick around, everybody. And coming up today on